Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, police are investigating a double homicide that took place in a suburb of Austin. One person is now in custody. And leaders of the Rio Grande Valley seeking guidance on how to enforce a new law that criminalizes illegal immigration. Plus, ERCOT puts out a weather watch for next Monday's cold front.
We actually have a lot of weather headed in our direction. First, the Friday front is going to be a wind shift, but a very strong wind for Friday. And then the big cold air comes in on Monday, the coldest air we've seen. And we're definitely looking for some temperatures down into the 20s for next week. We'll be talking all about that coming up in just a moment.
And we continue diving into the mayoral candidates' personalities and characters beyond their policy platforms as we introduce another candidate. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Karina Garcia. Victoria police arrested 24-year-old Triana Stovall of Victoria in the 5800 block of North John Stockbauer Tuesday night. She faces 6 charges, including 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. She is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $33,700 bond. A former judge and his wife had been shot to death in their home Monday night in a suburb of Austin. A suspect is in custody, and police say it's their 45-year-old son. Seth Carnes is in custody for the murder of his parents, former district judge Bert Carnes and his wife Susan. In the arrest affidavit, Carnes' 20-year-old daughter had called 911 late Monday night. She admitted, or rather Seth had admitted, to killing his parents. He said he thought his mother was trying to put a sleeping pill in his mouth. When asked about why he shot his father, he said, quote, "I've just been looking for something and figured I would finish the job," unquote. He is being held without bond. A third arrest has been made in the murders of a pregnant teen and her boyfriend in San Antonio. 47-year-old Marta Romeos faces charges including abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. These charges are in connection with the deaths of 18-year-old Savannah Soto and 22-year-old Matthew Guerra. Authorities believe she is tied to the 2 suspects arrested last week in the case, and they say she admitted that her gun was the murder weapon. Authorities do not believe there are any other suspects involved in this case. ERCOT has issued a weather watch from January 15th through the 17th. The watch is due to forecasted extreme cold weather across the ERCOT region, higher electrical demand, and the potential for lower reserves. Grid conditions are expected to be normal during an ERCOT weather watch. ERCOT continues to monitor conditions closely and will deploy all available tools to manage the grid, and they say no action is further needed. And with that, let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez.
Well, thank you very much, folks. Yeah, we are looking at the coldest air of the year coming in next week, and ERCOT's now paying attention. The thing is, it's not going to be like the big chill that we had a couple years ago because there's not enough ice and snow. Nonetheless, we're going to be picking up quite a bit of weather. High pressure is going to come in, and this was going to settle down for Thursday. But then on Friday, the first cold front is going to cause some 40-mile-an-hour winds, and then the real cold air comes in by Monday. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. San Antonio fire crews responded to a 2-alarm fire at a warehouse early this morning. KSAT reported that cause of a fire came in just before 7 a.m. These massive flames could be seen coming out of the building. Fire crews managed to stop the fire at the front of the business, but they're still working on putting the rest of the fire out. Authorities said one person had been inside and was able to leave safely. They are still investigating the cause of the fire. However, they do not believe the fire to have started maliciously. A new law that allows state law enforcement to arrest migrants suspected of illegally crossing the border has some leaders in the Rio Grande Valley wondering how they can enforce that.
Senate Bill 4 has many local leaders hitting the drawing board to figure out a plan to enforce the law. It allows local law enforcement to arrest migrants suspected of crossing the border illegally. The Department of Justice sued the state over it. They want the law to be ruled unconstitutional. Hidalgo County District Attorney Toribio Palacios says his office is waiting for a ruling to decide how to proceed.
We don't know what's going to happen at this point, so let's see what the lawsuit comes out on the federal side.
The Mission Police Department says if the law does take effect, they will comply. But they are looking to the state for guidance on how to enforce it.
There's a lot of unknowns at this time.
Teodoro Rodriguez is Mission's Assistant Chief of Police. He says an influx in arrests could be a challenge for his department.
Well, I can tell you that our resources are limited to our agency, to what we work with on a day-to-day basis. But we do certainly have resources to manage our community. On an influx, I think any agency, doesn't matter size, would certainly be tasked with overwhelming odds.
We spoke with Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz. She says Senate Bill 4 is necessary to secure the border because of what she calls a lack of action by the Biden administration. But she understands the concerns from local law enforcement.
Local sheriffs, local law enforcement should not be doing the federal government's job. And I understand why they're worried. They were elected and their job is to protect local communities.
Senate Bill 4 also requires a judge to order migrants to return to Mexico if they're convicted. We asked the Hidalgo County District Attorney which judges would preside over those cases.
That's what the law's not clear about. That's what we're waiting for the pending litigation, see if they're going to clear that up for us so we can know how to execute.
We also raised the question about Senate Bill 4 leading to racial profiling. The Mission Police Department says their officers will not stop anyone based on how they look.
We're not going to profile. We are not going to profile people as we conduct our law enforcement duties. That is something that we are totally against.
The DOJ's lawsuit was filed in an Austin federal court. It names the governor and the director of DPS. A date to hear arguments has not been yet set. Now, the Texas Tribune reported that Governor Greg Abbott raised $19 million over the last 6 months in an effort to support political candidates who advocate for expanding school choice in the state of Texas. You can read the full article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. But this is going to lead us to your viewer poll this afternoon. We want to know, should an elected official use campaign funds to target opponents? Yes or no? We want to hear your opinion on this. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca wave. Port Lavaca has received new signs in several public outdoor spaces in an effort to bring public awareness to rules and regulations. Plus, the Calhoun County Commissioner's Court has authorized for an increase in funds for the Sheriff's Office. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Now, we recently had all of the mayoral candidates live on 25 News Now to hear their various platforms. Now we're giving you a chance to learn more about their character and personality. We asked all of the candidates the same 4 questions. Our first question was for them to show us an important item in their home or office. Number 2, talk to me about your dream job when you were a child. Number 3, if elected mayor, what is your greatest fear? And finally, what is your favorite quote and why?
My dad wrote a book about his childhood, and 100%, that's my most valuable tangible possession. Yeah.
Is that a book that you can purchase or it's available?
No, it's actually he put it together, and there's 5 copies, and each of my siblings and myself have one, and so that's irreplaceable as far as I'm concerned. You know, I probably I wanted to be a professional baseball player, which, you know, what kid doesn't? What a great job, but it's not what the cards held for me, obviously. Yeah, you know, I think anytime you're going into a position with those kind of responsibilities or a project, your greatest fear has to be what information is out there that I don't know about, that if I did know about it, I could attack this issue better, I could handle this situation better. So I think it's just a fear of what's out there that you need to know that you don't know about, which is why I'm always trying to, you know, get additional information and study, try to learn everything I can about what I'm working on. There is, and it's too long to quote here, but it's referred to as the man in the arena, and it's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, and the gist of it is basically putting yourself out there, doing things that open yourself up to potential criticism, to potential scorn, slings and arrows from others, that sort of thing, but doing so because you know that that's something that you need to do and you want to do. But that's always been my favorite quote.
That was Dwayne Crocker. Also on the ballot, Josephine Solis, Jacob Sauceda, Peter Brown, Carissa Winters, and Robert Bob Constantine. Early voting starts January 17th and runs through January 30th. Join us Saturday, February 3rd for complete coverage of the special mayor election. Next Monday is the Martin Luther King March and Program. The march starts at 10 a.m. and begins at the Martin Luther King Park on 3808 Callis Street. It will then end at St. Peter's Baptist Church, where a program celebrating MLK will take place. Guest speaker and civil rights attorney Matthew Manning will be attending the program. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Hunter Biden makes an unexpected appearance on Capitol Hill during his criminal contempt hearing. That's straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Also ahead, YouTube is promoting videos with life-saving health information. Today, House Republicans started the process of holding Hunter Biden in criminal contempt of Congress, and the president's son made an unexpected appearance with his lawyers outside of the hearing room. The House Oversight and Judiciary Committees both subpoenaed Biden for his testimony as part of the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. However, he didn't show up for a closed-door deposition last month.
Hunter Biden, you were too afraid to show up for a deposition, and you still can't today. I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt. I think he should be hauled off to jail right now.
The House impeachment inquiry comes from unproven claims that President Biden was involved in or financially benefited from his son's foreign business dealings. If the contempt resolution passes out of committee, it's referred to the full House for a vote. If that succeeds, the Justice Department would determine whether to prosecute. The American Cancer Society estimated that roughly 2 million Americans would be diagnosed with cancer last year, and in that time, more than 609,000 people would die of the disease. But there's new research that shows how early detection can help save lives.
They're powerful weapons against a potentially life-threatening disease. Screenings can detect cancer early.
Many cancers found with screening techniques are actually quite curable.
The American Cancer Society says the top 5 cancer screenings to set up in 2024 start with a mammogram. The organization recommends women at age 40 start talking to their doctor about scheduling one. By age 45, every woman should have an annual mammogram. Women with a higher risk of breast cancer may need screening earlier.
And women that are younger, often with dense breast, may need additional testing even beyond a mammogram.
Next, set up a colorectal cancer screening for people who aren't at high risk based on factors like family history or a previous polyp. There's a home test. Those at average risk or higher should get a colonoscopy starting at age 45. Your results will dictate how often this screening is needed. Third, prostate cancer screening. That's recommended for men starting between the ages of 45 and 50. And by age 50, it should be an annual discussion with their doctor. African Americans and others at higher risk for this disease may need screening as early as age 40. Fourth, screening for cervical cancer, which is most often caused by the human papillomavirus or HPV.
Women should start by age 25, have an HPV test.
That test can be done at the same time as a patient's pap smear. And finally, set up a lung cancer screening starting at age 50 for smokers or former smokers with a 20-pack year history. For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
YouTube is planning to promote videos with emergency first aid information for heart attacks, seizures, and other medical issues. If the time arises and someone needs help in saving, or rather giving CPR or doing the Heimlich maneuver, videos with step-by-step information will be available. The feature is called First Aid Information Shelves and has life-saving knowledge from the American Heart Association, Harvard's Mass General, and the Mexican Red Cross. YouTube says these videos will be available in other languages. Now here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Cuero Record. Ben Gray becomes the new DeWitt County Assistant District Attorney, and the Cuero Rotary Club announces 5 new members. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. And now here's Mac.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. A beautiful day out there. You think it's going to stay like that? Well, no, it's all going to be changing. Right now, we're looking at 67 degrees. We managed to get up to a good 70 today, and that was about it. Now, notice that this morning we were down to 36. Next couple of days, those temperatures are going to be kind of scary, actually, as we're looking for some 20-degree temperatures coming in next week. So we'll be talking all about your extended outlook coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. We've got an interesting weather situation in the next 5 days. I wanted to show you this map. These are the low temperatures that we see for the next 5 days. Now, for your Thursday, tomorrow morning, not as cold as it was this morning because the south wind will be kicking in. And then Friday, we're down into the 30s again because that dry northwest wind's rolling in. And then for the weekend, we've got a 50, and Sunday, we got a 36. But by Monday morning, we're down to 24, and that is freezing. And so now is the time to get ready for that. Now, why do we have to get ready for that? Well, pipes are probably going to freeze. If you have your water pipes up in the open air that the wind can get to them, you don't want them to freeze, do you? So you got to get them wrapped up with that little foamy stuff they sell at Home Depot. And then the pets got to make sure they've got some, if you have an outdoors dog, make sure he has housing, food, and water and all that. The plants, well, they're really going to take it because we're going to be in the 20s for about 3 days in the morning. And then, of course, what do we do with people? People who don't have homes. which is a situation nowadays. Right now, we're looking at fairly comfortable temperatures. I mean, we got up into the 60s today. No significant winds, although it was chilly this morning and a little breezy. Right about now, the winds have settled down somewhat, and as you can see, they're generally less than 10 miles an hour. And tomorrow, a pretty good Thursday. Friday, things are going to change on you. The reason we're okay is because high pressure is on top of us, and that gives us the quiet weather that settled down the winds. This is our old storm from Monday. It's way out there, but this is the one we're looking at. It's a fast-moving frontal system. This will be down into our area on Friday. And here's Future Tracker, and let me show you what's going to be happening over the next 4 or 5 days. Now, as we go from your Wednesday on into your Thursday, you can see how that low is going to roll rapidly down into Texas. We're going to have a strong wind ahead of it, and then we've got really strong winds behind it with some icy weather possibly up in the Panhandle. That's a Friday windstorm, okay? Then it settles down for your Saturday and Sunday. But then, hello, we're talking by Monday, Sunday night, that storm's going to be a big thing up in the Rockies, and then it rolls into Texas. And what did you see here? Snow, ice, and rain. Now, the question is, how far down will the ice get? Well, right now it's a little bit out, but I just want you to be ready for this. On Monday night or Monday, we may have snow, icy weather mix as far south maybe as I-10 corridor. Okay, that's real close to us, and so we're going to have to watch it because that line is going to be 100 miles from us or less, and so we've got to watch it very carefully. Your Port Lavaca forecast, we're looking for mostly cloudy in the morning, and then southerly winds will get stronger. That's why we're looking for a 70 tomorrow. For those of you in Cuero, we're getting down to 56 in the morning, 73 tomorrow being your Thursday, but that's short term, folks. In Victoria, we're going to go sunny, getting up to about 70 in the afternoon, but your extended outlook, here's where we go. We got windy for Friday, not bad for Saturday and Sunday, but Sunday night, the big front blows in. The high temperature on Monday, 39, down to 21, 29 degrees early next week. So let's get ready for that now that we have time to plan for it. That's your 7-day forecast. We want to remind everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, new data is showing promising news for Americans looking for a new place to live. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 171 points, the S&P 500 up 27 points, and the Nasdaq up 112 points. Oil down 91 cents, closing at $71.33 a barrel. Today's report from the Mortgage Bankers Association showed mortgage applications shot up 9.9% during the first week of January. Analysts say this major hike is promising for the overall market. It hints that dropping interest rates are getting more house hunters back on. The average rate for a 30-year fixed loan is now just over 6.6%. That's according to Freddie Mac. Analysts say rates have been sliding since hitting nearly 7.8% back in October. Now, just one day after the head of Boeing admitted the company made a mistake in last week's terrifying incident involving an Alaska Airlines plane, a Boeing source says the mistake likely occurred in the manufacturing supply chain, but further details have not been explained. The flight carrying 177 people made an emergency landing shortly after takeoff from Portland last Friday when part of the plane broke loose, leaving a gaping hole on the side of the plane. The cause of the incident is still being investigated. And stay with us. We're going to take one last look at your forecast. Plus, the first real snowstorm of the season hits parts of Illinois yesterday. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, we have breaking news. Chris Christie dropping out of the presidential race, but not before a hot mic picked up what he was saying about Nikki Haley. The deadly avalanche in the U.S., the search and rescue right now. In the Northeast, rescues from the floods, and now the new storm brewing. We'll track it next.
An East Texas town is on a mission to be crowned as the quinceañera capital of Texas. That's going to be pretty hard.
That's going to be tough, yeah.
But you can read this full story by the Texas Tribune on our crossroadstoday.com website. Illinois saw its first real snowstorm of the season yesterday. Up to 8 inches of snow fell across the area, creating a playground for some of the young people there and a work zone for others as residents and city leaders tried to keep driveways, sidewalks, and roadways clear. Forecasters yesterday said the town was expected to be one of the hardest hit areas in the Chicago region. You know, we don't get any snow down here, and it's such a bummer. I always complain, but I bet people up there.
You wouldn't be complaining if you were driving the snowblower.
I know. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah,
what can
I know.
say? Ignorance is bliss.
This is why we live down here, so that we don't have to blow the snow. You can go visit some friends of mine
I'll visit
in
for
Wisconsin,
sure.
you know.
I won't live there, though.
No, It's a tough thing. Well, folks, we are looking at big changes over the next 5-7 days. Yes, it'll be mild tomorrow. Then the first frontal system rolls in with a very strong wind on Friday. We're talking 40-mile-an-hour winds, so I wouldn't be flying a kite then. The weekend is looking relatively quiet, but then Sunday night is the big chill rolls in. By Monday, the high temperature, as you can see right about there, barely in the 50s. And then we're looking at temperatures overnights in the 20s. What does that mean? Hard freeze. Pets, pipes, plants, people. There's all kinds of P's out there that we need to take care of now before the cold weather arrives.
All right, thank you, Mac. And thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with Dave Amir is up next.